so that you might play one time, start it from 3, start it from 5, start from the different degrees of the scale, and play things that are things you can manage, and find some ways to create some melody in a fairly simple context before you try to get more complicated with it. And one thing that was distinctive about Bill's improvising was that, in addition to more horizontal kind of playing, which was more born out of bop playing, he really explored things vertically, so that he would go up and down the keyboard, and explore each voicing or each chord in a vertical way. So I would take the different chords, like a major chord, and play figures up and down the keyboard. To develop some of that kind of facility, because his playing, some of the beauty of his playing was that he could get so richly into the harmonics of the chords and the overtones of the chords, and explore them in a very probing way vertically. So I would isolate in the chords. A good key center really is 3, 5, 7, and 9 melodically. With that as a reference point. So when you have, say, a D minor to a G7, be able to play that from 3, or play it from 5, play it from the root. So that kind of thing, where you can just probe it vertically. And play that kind of thing over 2 5s, and also over half diminish. The same thing that will work for a D minor to a G7 is also, by and large, going to work for B half diminished to an E7 sharp 9. So of these figures can be functional for both a 2-5 minor to dominant, and then also the relative half diminished to dominant. So in a case like this, so I like to find things that have some symmetry to them because they make more sense to me that way, to have to be able to see where I am in a particular melodic passage, to know where I am in the scale, and just to have reference points all over that I can go to. Eventually you build up a vocabulary where you can just go automatically without thinking about it, but I like to just to know where I am and not be lost in the middle of stuff. So just to play that kind of a phrase. And a lot of Bill's phrases also cross the bar line. They would come to rest on the fourth beat or the 4-and beat of the measure before the chord change happened. So it would, in that way, there was a kind of displacement that took place in his playing, where you can kind of lose yourself in the rhythm of it, which is it's very effective, and it keeps it from sounding too symmetrical. Anticipating the bar line, or sometimes either landing on a tone a half beat before the measure and holding on to it over the bar line, or landing on it on the first beat of the new measure. But a lot of times, as his playing got more sophisticated, he would oftentimes land on something. He would hold it over the beginning of a new bar line, and a lot of times he would play his left hand chord half a beat before the bar line where it would actually happen, and it would give things, it would kind of push things forward. So I'll just improvise through this a few times. I'll try to get into it because sometimes it's hard when you're just talking about it analytically to give the best examples. But I'll play through it a few times, and it'll give you some things to listen to and to you can always ask me questions about. But I'll try to keep some of it simple, and then I'll try to get into it a little bit more and try to give an idea of the kind of stuff that Bill did when he improvised. So. I'll try to take it a little bit slower now and a little more deliberately, and see what I can play that's just a little more symmetrical, that you can pick apart a little easier. find some melodic phrases that are connected in a way that makes sense to you. I like to try to find similar phrases that I can build on, kind of like building blocks. Those kinds of things that you can just begin to play from anywhere in any key, in any kind of chord, that just reference the particular chord you're playing without necessarily just playing 1 3 5 7 or 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 5, but give you reference points. So when I'm playing, I just play, I'll take each quality of chord and do that kind of an exercise. So that I can begin to build up that kind of a facility. Those kinds of figures, 3 4-note figures that you simply can play from each degree of the scale and then connect to any other chord, and then you have that same kind of facility from each degree of that scale. Those kinds of building blocks I find are very, very helpful in knowing where you are when you improvise rather than just kind of being lost, even if you are just keeping it simple. So that kind of thing.